Hello and welcome to What the Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Thursday, February 25th, 2021. Welcome to day 37. The House passed the Equality Act, which would amend the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by extending civil rights protections to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. Last week, Biden called the bill a critical step toward ensuring that America lives up to our foundational values of equality and freedom for all. The same legislation was previously passed by the House in 2019, but blocked in the Republican-led Senate. But although Democrats now control the White House, the House, and the Senate, the measure still faces an uphill fight in the Senate, where it would need 60 votes to break a legislative filibuster. Meanwhile, Biden ended Trump's ban on legal immigration that had dramatically cut legal immigration to the United States during the coronavirus pandemic. Last spring, Trump ordered a pause on the issuance of green cards and halted certain temporary work visas, saying that he needed to protect U.S. jobs amid high unemployment due to the coronavirus pandemic. Biden said the Trump policy did not advance the interests of the United States and that it prevented qualified and eligible non-U.S. residents from entering the country. Biden also ended Trump's effort to cut funding for cities that he had deemed were permitting anarchy, violence, and destruction following the anti-police brutality protests last summer. The Biden administration also reopened a child detention facility in Carrizo Springs, Texas, to house up to 700 immigrant teenagers after they crossed the U.S.-Mexico border unaccompanied by a parent. The facility was closed since July 2019 and is now reopening because permanent facilities for migrant children have cut capacity by 40% due to the coronavirus pandemic. The administration also plans to reopen a for-profit emergency temporary shelter in Homestead, Florida, that once held up to 3,200 children and came under fire in 2019 after reports of sexual abuse, overcrowding, and negligent hiring practices. The administration says that it has to reopen the facilities because of limited capacity at existing facilities during the pandemic and due to an influx of unaccompanied children. In New York City, a new coronavirus variant is spreading rapidly and contains a mutation that may weaken the effectiveness of vaccines. The new variant, called B.1.526, first appeared in November, but by mid-February it accounted for around 27% of New York City's viral sequences deposited into a database. A new variant detected in California, going by two names, B.1.427 and B.1.429, now makes up more than half of the infections in 44 counties in that state. Moving on, another 730,000 people filed for initial unemployment benefits, down from 841,000 the previous week. Continuing claims decreased to a pandemic-era low of 4.42 million, which is still significantly higher than the pre-pandemic norm. Although the official unemployment rate stands at 6.3%, a broader measure that includes those who have given up on their job searches puts the number closer to 10%. Back in D.C., acting U.S. Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman warned that the same groups involved in the January 6th insurrection want to blow up the Capitol and kill as many members as possible during Biden's first official address to Congress. During a House Appropriations Subcommittee hearing on the January 6th riot at the Capitol, Pittman told lawmakers that more than 10,000 pro-Trump rioters had come onto the Capitol grounds and that more than 800 of them had ended up breaching the building. Pittman said officers were unsure of when to use lethal force and that the department will also implement significant training to refresh their officers as to the use of lethal force. Biden is expected to deliver an address to a joint session of Congress after he passes COVID-19 relief. Back in New York, Trump's tax returns and other financial documents were turned over to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Cy Vance's office enforced a subpoena on Trump's accounting firm, Mazars USA, after the Supreme Court rejected Trump's request to prevent the millions of pages of records from being handed over as part of an ongoing criminal grand jury investigation. Trump spent nearly 18 months trying to keep the record secret. Moving on, the Senate voted 64 to 35 to confirm Jennifer Granholm as Secretary of the Department of Energy. Granholm is the second woman to head the department, and she's expected to play a major role in Biden's promises to accelerate and expand the country's shift to renewable energy resources. And finally, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy said he apologizes for the unacceptable mail delays during the holiday season, but warned that the postal system is in a death spiral and needs legislation to help restore it to financial stability. During testimony before the House Oversight Committee, DeJoy told lawmakers that he intends to be around a long time, saying, "Get used to me." Shortly after DeJoy testified, however, Biden announced 3 nominees to the Postal Service's Board of Governors, which has the power to appoint and replace the Postmaster General. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that Biden wants to see leaders who can do a better job running USPS.
That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefuckjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.